Welcome to the crossroads of dreams and wisdom, where ambition dances with the soul. You're listening to The Balanced Visionary, aligning ambition with soulful success. I'm Jen, your guide on this journey of self-discovery and achievement. Each week we'll explore the paths of personal growth, spiritual depth, and professional triumphs. Together, we'll unearth the secret to a life where success is not just what we achieve, but how we thrive. So visionaries, are you ready to transform your ambitions into a journey of the heart? Let's embark on this adventure together. Welcome back. Today's episode is really special to me. We've got a wonderful story of resilience, enlightenment, and a deep dedication to wellness and truth. I am really excited to introduce my friend, Christina Lee Dobbs. A little bit about Christina. She went through a life-changing near-death experience, and it wasn't just a physical challenge, but a spiritual and emotional one too. That moment led her on an amazing path of healing, self-discovery, and empowerment. And in the past 5 years, Christina has immersed herself into the art and science of Orgonite making, an endeavor that not only has been a testament to her resilience, but also a key to unlocking a deeper understanding of holistic health and the universe untapped energies. But that doesn't end with Christina. She has her knowledge encompasses a broad spectrum of holistic health practices, a relentless quest for the truth, and a passionate commitment to disclosure. What really makes Christina stands out is her fiery spirit. It's one of the things that I absolutely love about her. She's vibrant and inspiring and a true animal lover with a big heart, reflecting on the beautiful soul that she is. Today, Christina is here to share her journey, her insights into Orgonite and how it can help you, and her experience and how her experiences can light the way for others. Christina, welcome to the Balanced Visionary. It is such an honor to have you on with us.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. I'm glad to be here. Bear with me. It's my first time. But I'm happy to be here. Happy to support you in what you do.
I am so happy to support you too. And I cannot tell you what an honor it is that I'm your first show. I've known Christina for, a while now, maybe like 4 years.
Yeah.
And we've worked together in the past on a conference. And I know there have been people in the past that have asked you on their show. So I'm really happy that you said yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here and do this and open up and see how it goes. A little nervous, but let's see.
Yeah, well, I kind of like to keep these as a casual conversation. I think that you have a very unique story and unique journey. Like many of us who resonate with things that I put out, we've all kind of had like a spiritual awakening or something happen, and it put us on this path. And what you have to offer the world is beneficial for people out there to know about, but how your journey got started and where you came from. I can't wait to hear what you have to share with the guest and how you got where you're at now.
Well, how it started for me is that I had a brain aneurysm and I almost died about 7 years ago. And that sent me, first in a really dark space. But then within that healing journey, I caught my hair on fire one day when I came home from the hospital. And I really wasn't supposed to be alone, but I didn't have a nurse to take care of me at that time. And I was trying to do some cooking for myself. And I caught my hair on fire. And it sent me into a very bad, the worst panic attack I ever had. And in that panic attack, a voice came over me, and it reminded me of, it brought this lady's voice forward, a nurse in the hospital that taught me these breathing exercises to do because I would have panic attacks in the hospital because the
Mm,
pain would be bad and I would be alone.
mm,
It was just very intense. So in this breathing exercise, another voice encompassed me with like a loving, healing energy. And if you ever listen to the work of Cryon, I don't know if you know who that is. He's a channeler. He's been out for a really long time.
I've heard
His,
of him.
yeah, his basic message, is that you're never alone. You can never be alone, and so when I caught my hair on fire and I was in my bed crying because I thought I was going to die alone in this panic attack, that voice came in and this energy and was just saying that to me. You are not alone. You can never be alone. There's not a closet, small enough that you could go into. It's physically impossible for you to be alone. And so that was just really comforting for me. And it was something I needed to hear. You go through like trauma as a child and you don't think there's like anybody there for you. And this whole time there is. And so that gave me it helped heal. I had a lot of bitterness going on in my life at that time. And so that started to help heal that, and it was just a big thing for me. And within that healing process, I also came across the work of David Wilcock
Hmm.
and learned about the law of one. And then I also it was the same year that Q started posting. So I got into the whole QAnon, and that led me into a group called Destroying the Illusion, a Jordan Sather group. A lot of people, that's how a lot of us originally met. And then we formed another group, Meme Gods. But anyways, in that group, I learned about Orgonite. I saw it for the first time, and that's how I kind of like it. All that craziness from my near-death experience and almost dying, it led me to really where I was supposed to be.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of how the short version of how I got to where I am from that place to the Orgonite, basically.
And what I love about your story is that I can resonate with it. Didn't I didn't have a I don't know if it was a near death experience. I don't actually know what happened. But in the moment where I was at that bottom, where you thought you were going to die, like I was
Mhm.
on that door. I had a voice encompass me,
Yeah.
and it's still there. And it was the
Yes.
most, I mean, it was like God's hands coming down,
Oh, yeah.
It was so
Yes.
loving. It gave me so much peace. And
Yes.
I love to hear that, I wasn't alone in that journey.
Right.
And just like you, it directed me to
Yes.
exactly what I needed to be doing.
That's right.
So, and you from, what I know, I have a piece of your organ. I have a couple pieces of your organite actually.
Mhm.
Um, there are other organite makers out there
Oh, yeah.
that years do, I mean, they don't even compare to what you make
Oh, thank
and
you.
your extensive knowledge in it. And I don't think many people actually know the benefits and why they would need organite in their life.
Right.
Um,
Well, oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't
no,
mean to cut
no,
you off.
I want you to go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, Orgonite is beneficial for everyone, and you can use it, in your home, in your car, at work, outdoors. It's good to, what I call, gridding your house with. They're gridding the skies. We have the chemtrails. We have all that negative mess going on. We have the power lines. We have the 5G. All that is emitting radiation. Whether you can see it or not, it's all coming off. So we're living
Can
under a
you
grid
can you
under
kind of
all this.
explain to our guests like what that radiation does to the human body?
Well, I mean,
For people who may not quite know what exactly.
how I became into doing it and finding out, like, okay, I used to live in a very rural area. And then I moved into the city in my little town, and I moved into an apartment complex. And one of the first things that I noticed, I started getting tinnitus so bad in my ears. And how I figured it out, I was like, what is happening? I started using my phone when it was charging, and it would like amplify. And then when I would put my phone down, it would stop. And so I was doing these weird experiments on myself, you know. And when you live in an apartment complex, you're covered in it because everyone has their own, you know, appliances, their own Wi-Fi box, their own, you know, smart meter outside. So you are really covered in it. And so I
Oh, it's
started
like a
really
whole row
noticing.
of them.
Oh yeah. And so that's how I figured it out because I was like, I was starting, and it would make you a lot more anxious. You can have so many different issues with it. It'll affect your sleep. It'll affect your, you know, give you anxiety. That's one thing. I literally, where mine is, it's right in the corner, and my neighbor's is also right there. And well, I live in a tiny apartment, and it's right where our, you know, living room couch is. So if you want to sit down in the living room, you're right there, covered in it. So Orgonite, what it does is that it takes all this RF, EMF radiation, it gathers it in by electrostriction. That's what the metal shavings are, the key, most important part in very good functional Orgonite. You know, you really only need to have like one quartz crystal, and different. You can use, people want to get a little technical about Orgonite, but I have a large group, and it has about 40,000 people, where you can also learn to make your own. So you don't have to, like, I'm not saying it so you need to buy mine. You can make your own. And I have all the links and all the different places where you can find how exactly, if you want to make it like I do, you can make it like I do. But it's really important to have right now because of, you know, they're always, before you know it, we'll have 6G, you know, right now we have 5G. And it's just going to only keep going up. They're not going to stop, right? So they're going to just keep going. They're going to keep amplifying it. And as we can see now, the chemtrails, they're just nonstop.
Oh,
So,
the past couple of days, I am grateful because they haven't been that bad in the sky, but it's blatantly in your
yeah.
face.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it just drives me crazy. I love when you post on Facebook, you know, the check your towers, which guys,
Mm-hmm.
I will include the link to that down below so you can check
Yes.
around you how many towers are going on. And they've put new ones in because since I'm close to downtown Houston, they're
Oh, yeah.
making my area the smart area.
I bet.
Um, so I can't remember. It was a god awful amount of towers that are near to me, but you know, following you and reading the information that you've put out and educating myself on it, I have been able to tell a difference in how this has affected me. And the reason I really wanted to pull you in on doing a show on this is that, you know, it is for solopreneurs, and a lot of solopreneurs are on their phone, they are behind the computer, they're around all this tech all the time, and finding balance is very important. So like you mentioned, anxiety can be
Yes.
increased. You know, different ailments I've had, maybe body aches, sleep disruptions,
Oh,
stuff
yes.
like that. Your pyramid is actually right by my desk because I'm surrounded by tech. And the
Yeah.
tower busters that I have a couple of yours. I sleep under one.
Yes. It's really important. And because, you know, each orgonite has a range, you know what I'm saying? So each one can cover a specific range, you know. And so you do need multiple depending on where you are. It's good to have one in your glove compartment. It's good to keep one in your purse, right? And there's a lot of different things that you can do. And if you want to go out gifting, I started making ones that are just tactical, that are like $10, that you can throw three of them around a 5G tower wherever you live, or if you want to, you know, help your neighborhood, or just you can make them yourself and gift them around. You know, they don't need to be pretty because, you know, the best way to do it is to bury them in the ground so no one can get to them. But you can also throw them in a bush, throw them in, you know, where they need to go and gift your neighborhood. And so that's what I've done around my small space. I've gifted my neighborhood, gifted my apartment complex, all my neighbors, all that stuff.
That's a
So
fantastic idea.
yes. And if you can go and you can get this stuff just to make the tower busters, you can get that, the little silicone muffin thing at Dollar General, very cheap. The resin is a little more expensive, but you can probably get a whole thing done for like 120 bucks, 130 bucks to get, several 40, 50 tower busters made. And you could really do your whole neighborhood, gift it out, however you wanted to do it. So it's a good way to do it and to, help the earth and help the people who don't know about this stuff anyways. Some people are just not going to, and they're going to like, what? But it really is helpful.
Yeah, I've noticed a difference. And there's been a lot of feedback. I mean, you yourself have gotten many testimonies and reviews from the people that have bought from you and how it's benefit.
Yes, I have hundreds of reviews that I've saved that are on my, main page that people can go and look at. And even within the group that I have makers from all over the world. It's not just a group for me to sell my stuff in, it's a group for everyone who wants to come in, as long as it's well-made Orgonite. And, this is for everybody. I can't make enough Orgonite, to sell to the world. So we need as many Orgonite makers out there as we can to help get this around. So that's what the group is about. And it'll help you. You can also help you bring in some extra income. So, and do something fun, So there's
I'll
a
put
lot
that
to it.
I'll get that link for your group down below. Can you let everybody know what exactly is well-made Orgonite? Like, outside of joining your group and looking at yours, what is it something that they need to look for? Because there are a lot of scammers out there.
Yeah. So well-made Orgonite is going to require only three things: metal shavings that can include aluminum, that can include copper, brass. There's tons of different type of metal. The one type of metal you don't want it to be the main source are the BBs. I did start out doing that myself. You don't want that to be the main source of metal. You want it to be a very rough. The best metal shape, if you want to get technical, are the little curly cues, the ones that are these long, you know what I'm saying? That
Mm-hmm.
holds that energy the best. And you need 1 quartz point. Sure, you can, and I do. I like to make prettier Orgonite. I'm not going to act like I don't. I do. That's how I got started. But to be the most efficient, you want really you want to use the top third for it to be pretty, and the bottom 2/3 needs to be filled with metal.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's one type layered. If you want to get technical, cascading densities at different ones divided up, that's going to be the stronger with a quartz point and tensor rings. So I've also started adding tensor rings into my work, and that boosts up the energetics quite a bit. So, and that's all from, things that I've learned from the master OG maker, Stephen Geddes, out of Australia. So I definitely want to give a shout out to him because he's the one that I've learned the most from. And, and anyone, you can follow his page, follow his work. He posts a lot in my group as well. And he's very, great with his knowledge. He's not stingy with it. And he's been doing it 20 plus years. So he's a good one
Wow.
to look out for. Oh, yeah. And he's a master. He douses. So he's one that can, accurately measure the energetics of a piece, and how far the range can go. Where,
Through
when to get
dowsing?
dousing, to use a
Wow.
boba still. Yeah, I have all this stuff. I just haven't got, you really have to get into your, self and get really grounded when you get into dowsing to get accurate. People think that, oh, you can just pick it up. No, you really need to practice with it, and you need to ground yourself. You need to be in a good space. You need to be, there's a lot to going on with dowsing, and
Yeah,
he's been doing it 20 years.
I do some dowsing. I have both the rods and the
Yes.
pendulums,
Yes.
and you're
There's a Bovis scale that you can buy. And you can make it yourself. You don't have to buy a scale. I just bought one because it was cool looking, but you can even draw one up and you can see, the range of the energetics of really anything what the life force is giving off.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, you're very, very knowledgeable in this. And I really do love how you are educating other people on how to do it. And it's not, you know, it is important that we start putting this stuff around our planet because we are already into 5G. It's going to be 6G next, and
Oh
who the
yeah.
hell knows what that is.
Yeah.
Um, and the one thing that I have noticed about all of that is I still have a 4G phone, but my
Hmm.
4G phone sucks because it's not on a 5G network. So they force people
Oh
to
yeah.
start upgrading, which increases all of this EMF frequency that's around us, guys. So um learn more about Orgonite, how to protect yourself, and you can use it in multiple different ways, especially if you're working behind a desk or you travel too. I
Hmm.
carried the Tower Buster with me when I fly.
Yes. Yes. Same here. I have them in my glove compartment and I keep a few extra in my purse. I like to give them away, when I can. If I happen to run into somebody, but I have a ton of them. So, but yeah, they're great to just keep around.
Awesome. Will you also are you still doing the tying in the astrology with your Orgonite too?
Yeah, so for my custom pieces, I pull people's astrological natal charts and I take their chart and I match crystals from that and I add it into to the different, and I give them a digital copy. It's not that I'm giving them a reading, I'm pulling it off a computer program and then I'm taking that from my crystal. I have a pretty big, expensive crystal book and it has all the different astrological components to each mineral crystal, and then
Mm.
I work that in. So and it's funny when you're, especially like I've been working with crystals, and when you start out looking at the crystals, it's crazy how many of them actually correspond to your actual astrological, the ones that you just have before you even know that, and you're like, wow. you know so I kind of like how that works out too.
Yeah, you have a very extensive knowledge on different types of crystals too. So,
Yeah, so yeah, crystals is it's the one thing I probably know the most about is crystals, is that's how I kind of got into a set. I was like, how can I use crystals? And I was like, oh, Orgonite. Once I saw Orgonite, I was like, I can work with them in a real tangible way, in a way that people can, it's also helping people, it's in a healthy way as well. So I was pretty excited about how it all came together.
yeah. And again, going back to the beginning of what we talked about in the podcast, I mean, this all started with your awakening. It kind of guided you to where you
Yes.
are now. Um, and another thing that I admire about you is that you're your own entrepreneur and you have been like you dove in to learning how to do this. The one
Yes.
thing that, with working with clients and being in different masterminds, you've tackled being able to promote yourself on social media. And as long as I've known you, you are consistent with that.
Yeah. So that I feel like that is probably the one big key to, I hate to use the word my success, but the one key to, how I do my things. And I noticed that early on, and I was just posting because I was always in the truther. That's where I come from, is the truther movement. And it did segue into the spirituality for me because there is a big, component in the truther world with the spirituality. So
Yes.
I was just very lucky, you know, to have that dual role with that.
Yes. It will both play a part in this whole journey or awakening that we're going through. as I roll my eyes because it's getting to a point where it's like, can we have something happen already? This drip, drip, drip. But you've
Well, I feel
been
like a lot
consistent.
is happening. I feel like a lot is actually happening now. Especially this last week, there's a lot more tying in, So for me, where people are like, oh, nothing is happening. I'm like, no, no, no. Let's turn that around. There is some positive there. There's a lot of positive, I think, going
Yeah,
on.
this, well, ever since Pluto
Mm-hmm.
transitioned, it
Oh,
has been like balls to the wall, basically,
yes.
on an
Yes.
individual level for people, myself included, as well as I am starting to see that as an external. You're right, we are definitely getting action. For a while there, I think what it has taught me is that, going through this journey, because got into the Q post as well at the very, very beginning, and it was that like love bombing relationship, like
Yes, yes, that's
we're
so
all
true.
in, no we're not. And
Yes, we
so
were.
we've
Yeah.
kind of gotten to not where we're numb to it, but we're more wiser to it, that
Yes.
we're not getting emotionally invested. We
Right.
are taking a step back and watching what is playing out on the world stage,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is a better view of the training that we've had to go through this whole journey on it. But
Yeah. Our
there's
discernment is a little more, on
yes.
point than, other because we've had to really go through it and question our own selves because we've all been guilty of being a little too excited about certain information that we might hear that necessarily didn't come from maybe the Q exact source, but from another source. And we might have all been guilty of spreading some misinformation around at one point. But
Mm-hmm.
and so then it makes you really look like, hold up, let's reel this in before I get really excited about something. Let me go do my own research, go do a little digging. Even right now, there's an AI photo going around right now that's kind of triggering me because everyone's sharing it. I've already looked it up. It's an AI fake of the bridge and the Simpson thing. It's like anytime you see the Simpsons and whatever craziness is going on, please go do a 5-minute search on that because it's usually going to be fake. But anyways, not saying the Simpsons don't have real things going on, but just a little researching before you share something that's, salacious or whatever can save, I feel the community a lot of heartache and just, looks. So,
Yeah, the emotional roller coaster
yes,
that it can be, because
yes,
we're all here. We know we're here for a special reason or for a purpose. And ultimately, that is to help humanity. And I know the reason I labeled this the balance visionary is because we need to have that balance in our life for what is coming.
mm-hmm.
Um, and just with the discernment and kind of like, not, we are emotionally invested, but not allowing the emotions to overrule where we're kind of going. We're approaching a situation now where we can have that balance and help people more uh,
Yeah.
in the future. Because I don't think we're going to get out of 2024 without
Oh,
something
it's gonna be
crazy happening.
wild. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we already know it's gonna be wild next year. I mean, just the astrology is telling us it's gonna be wild. Next year's gonna be wild. And that's why people, around me, they'll kind of ask me, like, I'm like, you just have to brace yourself, find something that you can be content in. What is it for you? For me right now, it's crystals, and I'm just doing that and finding what makes me happy, right? And you can't get swallowed up in the chaos that is the world right now. You have to find your own little piece of heaven in it because you can. It's there. You can create it. How you make your surroundings, who you deal with. That is all up to you.
Yes, yes, it is. And I think you've definitely done that from what people have, what I've known from you over the past couple of years. I've definitely seen you do that. You are creating your own little heaven um, in your
Yes,
corner of the
I'm
world
trying. Yeah,
while
I'm
helping others.
Yes, that's important, right? I think everyone, when we get out of being selfish or self-absorbed, whatever it is, and we look at, what can we do in our capacity without draining ourselves or draining, our bank account, what can we do to help where we can? And so I think that's important.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about or share?
I think we about covered it, girl.
All right. Again, thank you. I love following you. I know that when I don't even remember how I came across you. It's probably in one of the groups. But I knew that there was like an instant connection or whatever. So, and ever since we did the convention, we've been friends and stuff like that. And I just love your work, and you're an inspiration, especially for people out there who have either woken up, are waking up, and they know they're here for a special purpose and they just don't quite know how to do it. All I've seen Christina do is put one foot in front of the other, and she keeps going.
Thank
So,
you, girl. And we're all here for a reason, and you just need to find that and find your happiness, and you can do it. So put yourself out there, take a little faith, and just put yourself out there. That's all I could say.
yay. I will make sure that I get the links to your group and where people can follow and order if they want to check out. I highly recommend Christina's Orgonite. I love it. And I typically, when she has stuff going on, I try to share it to my profile so you'll be able to see that. And she also, like she said earlier, does a lot of things to help the community. If, I've seen her, if people are in need, she tries to bring awareness to different causes. And that is where we need to start getting as a collective, as a whole, is because it's not a one person job here. It's a we job. And you definitely do that. So thank you.
Thank you, girl. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and we will see you on the next episode. Thank you for tuning into The Balanced Visionary. I hope this episode has brought you valuable insights and inspiration. If it resonated with you and you feel like you can light up someone else's day too, please take a moment to screenshot, share, and tag me on Instagram. I love seeing your posts and getting to know you better on a personal level. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. Join us next time as we continue our journey towards aligning ambition with soulful success. Until then, keep balancing, keep dreaming, and I'll see you in our next visionary encounter.